What you'll find as a man is that only when you stop caring is when she fully will start chasing. This is a very important concept to understand because you as a man must fully step into your masculine energy, your masculine frame, your masculine presence. You must actually become the man that you are actually called to be. I've never done this before, but I'm going to read a verse from the book of James. Okay, so this is important because a lot of this stuff has already been written, but nobody tells it, right? Nobody talks about it. So this verse is, "My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry, because human anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires." Now, when you think about that for a second, right? Quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to become angry. By going against those things, you lead into emasculation. You become a man that she can actually control. You become a man that she doesn't want. You become a man that over-pursues. You become a man who shows no discrepancy in SMV, and she exits. So today I'm going to be showing these principles broken down at an even deeper level because nobody talks about this. So this is a super deep video, but this will tie into perfectly what I posted in my community today. I said men cannot gain the leverage back when it comes to dating until we submit to God. So I put, guys, here's one thing that I'm seeing and realizing. I said I've been on over 50 dates plus since moving here to Arizona, maybe closer to 100. And here's what I can tell you. The entire reason that you lose out with women is because their lust controls you and you desire sex so bad. I said because you desire sex, she can't desire you because you are inverting the dynamic of her respecting the man because he is strong and stronger than her and he can't be deceived into lust. If that dynamic isn't there, she will never fully respect you. She has something that you want and that controls you, making you weak and submissive into her frame to hopefully lay your cards right, to please and appease her of hopefully obtaining sexual access. Until a man truly takes a step back, values his own body and spirit, and desires to put God in his life first, women will forever be on the pedestal in your subconscious mind, trying to fill a void for you. I said, when you seek a relationship with God only, you're not sitting and checking your phone. You're not wondering when you get to see her next. You're not concerned if you haven't talked with her in 3 days. Why? ? Because sex doesn't control you. Your goal with her isn't to do that, and because of that, she tries to win you over. I said every time in my life, and I mean every time, that I've thought a girl was hot and I wanted to bang her, especially repetitively, I've always lost, and I put always. I said there was either sentences that came out of my mouth that lowered my value in her eyes subconsciously. I put text messages that were seeking her approval and reassurance, or missteps that caused her to leave. I said you truly can't want her, and you especially can't want her body, or she will exit that interaction faster than ever. So let's actually look at this. This was from James 1:19-20. So he says, "My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry, because human anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires." So if you look at that at face value, you're probably not going to comprehend any of it and say, this doesn't pertain to my text messages, this has nothing to do with my online dating, this has nothing to do with me dating women, and this has nothing to do with my social interactions to make sure I can either get laid or make sure I can date the girl, whatever you want to tell yourself. Couldn't be further from the truth. All of this has already been written, but a lot of times people refuse to look deeper. So let's just break down each part of this. The first thing that this says is quick to listen. Okay, well, what does quick to listen mean? Like if you're a masculine man and you're quick to listen, okay, meaning you're observant, you have wisdom, what does that mean? The first thing I can tell you is men, okay, or you specifically, you need to be evaluating her. Because I don't care how beautiful she is, there is bad people and there's good people, and oftentimes you will be deceived. So the reason why I'm saying evaluate her is because most guys in the dating space, if you watch other content creators, everybody talks about the saying, qualify her. Well, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. If sex and lust doesn't control you, you're going to finally start to do this naturally because you're actually evaluating the woman for who she is as an individual beyond just her hourglass figure or how pretty you think she is. So guys in the dating space say, qualify her, okay? But see, this was already written, so if you listen carefully, and I mean very carefully, like listen to her words for a second here. I'm not saying listen to her words and believe her, and then you say, oh my God, her actions don't match. But if you listen carefully, she will eventually tell you everything that you need to know. She will tell you about her past, she will tell you about what she believes in, she will tell you about the past men that she's been with, and she will tell you what her intentions are in a quick hurry. So what I can tell you is this: you need to use discernment of being wise and seeing this for what it is, because you spot and you already see the red flags, you really do, and you know you do, but the problem is that since you're weak and blinded by her beauty, you refuse to see them, or you refuse to actually listen to them. You refuse to see the red flags because you don't want to see them because you think she's so gorgeous. You're so easily controlled by your pleasure that now you've become weak. Now you might be saying, well, Casey, how do you know all this stuff? I know all this because all of this is me. Everything that I teach you on my marker board, the only reason I'm able to do this is because I have made every mistake over the years, which has turned me into the man that I am today, and so on and so forth. So let's look at the next part. Okay, masculine men, it says slow to speak. Well, if you're quick to listen but you're slow to speak, why would you need to be slow to speak? Why is that? Just think about this. And this even ties into what you're going to hear women oftentimes say, how they love mysterious men. Well, why would they love mysterious men? Because think about this for a second. If you're a masculine man and you're slow to speak, oftentimes the more you talk, the more you over communicate, and the less she likes you. The only reason, okay, you talk, the only reason you're sending that text message, the only reason you're communicating is because you have desire for her. And that is the whole root problem of all of this, okay? So oftentimes the more you communicate, the more you over communicate, and the less she likes you. So what I'm telling you is this: if you're slow to speak, this stems into you removing that urgency to get that text message done, that urgency to go out on that date, that urgency to see her, everything. Like, you got to understand, you're a complete man, you're a complete individual by yourself. The second you say you need her, you need to see her, it's game over. So that text message, okay, that you want to send right away, that phone call you want to make, that reactive energy, I'm going to tell you this, the reason why you need to be slow to speak is because she can feel that, and she can feel all of that. And that's why you as a man, you're probably not grounded. She can see that you're not grounded, right? What I'm going to tell you is this: you need patience to be grounded, and if you have patience to be grounded, now you start to see that you don't need her. Well, if you don't need her, now what happens is when your emotions get the best of you, you start to do things off of impulse. You're texting her off of impulse, you're talking to her quickly, you're trying to recover any sort of missteps that you might have made. If you're a masculine man and you're slow to speak, you're quick to listen, you're evaluating the circumstance and the situation, you don't feel as if there's urgency to get anything done. There's no urgency to see her, there's no urgency to set that date. When before you would wait an hour or two to reply to that text message, now you take time and you think it over for a day. You think about if you even want to see her. You think about what this is going to lead to and where you want to go. Because if you can be stronger than your desires, stronger than your own lust, this is what's going to help propel you forward. Now, let's look at this one more time and let's keep going, okay? Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to become angry, right? So masculine men, what does that mean if you're slow to become angry? Well, here's what you can know if you've dated women. Here's what you can see if you've dated women. Here's what you'll know if you've been in relationships. Her whole goal subconsciously is to see if she can emasculate you. I think this is just wired into her being. Her female nature hardwiring is designed 24/7 to test you, to see if she can emasculate you, to see if she can move you emotionally off center, to see if she can basically poke the bear and get him pissed off, or to pull away from him and make him cry, or to pull away from him and make him angry, or to pull away from him and see if this is going to piss him off. Okay. Masculine men must be slow to become angry. So think about this. Her whole goal subconsciously is to see if she can emasculate you. Now look at this a step deeper. Your anger and frustration with women, if you have it. Oh, she didn't reply to that text message. Oh, she unmatched me off that dating app. Oh, she ran and told her friend that it was a bad first date. Oh, I double text messaged her. Okay, this anger and this frustration with women that I know a lot of you have, this will come out in many ways, okay? And it doesn't matter who you are. So those of you who carry this victim mentality and say, oh, if only I was 6'5", those of you who carry this victim mentality and say, oh, if only I made more money, you have to understand it doesn't matter who you are. You are going to have to play by the rules too. Because we have seen millionaires get divorced. We have seen tall guys get left and heartbroken. We've seen women leave all kinds of men. And it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter how high you think your sexual market value is on paper, this stems into internal high value, and she's going to test the internal guts of what you're made of, okay? And for me personally, I haven't found any sort of dating tips or structures or strategies that have really molded me better than just sticking to what certain verses in scripture says. And the reason being is because when I'm trying to use my own judgment as a man and come up with my own strategies, principles, and tactics, the problem with that is what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to manipulate the circumstance to make sure that the words that I'm saying is going to work in my favor to hopefully lead to the best outcome. And the problem with that is that oftentimes doesn't work either, because she can feel that. She can feel that what you're doing is you're trying to operate in a way that is going to get a result, whether that be a text message back or a date or whatever the case may be, instead of being who you are as a man and being who you need to be. So when I say slow to anger or slow to become angry, her whole subconscious is to see if she can emasculate you. So your anger and your frustration will come out in many different ways if you let your emotions get the best of you. So here's what anger results in, okay? Anger, when you're frustrated at your dating life and at your circumstance, that is going to result in putting her on the pedestal and chasing her, or seeing if you can chase that communication, that conversation back so you get a response. It's going to come out maybe if you're dating long-term in arguments, or number 3 is you over-communicating your interest. All of this is going to make her pull away from you. So you need to ask yourself, on a deep level here, will you really let someone half your size make you mad? This is the only thing that you can do. Like, are you really going to let a girl make you mad? Are you really going to let a woman piss you off? Are you really going to let that woman make you angry? Because masculine men have to be grounded. And what she's going to see is she's going to sit there and go, okay, if I am half his size and all of this, and he's angry and he's moved off center just from me, she's going to go, this guy's going to be moved off center from anything. Okay, and then she's going to see that you're not made of anything. So all of this sends into internal. This is why women fall in love with personality congruence, and it has nothing to do with sleeping with them or not. This is like who you are as a man. So because human anger, okay, let's look at this last piece. What this verse says is because human anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires. Okay, so because human anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires, what does that mean? That means that any and all blessings or good things that you've had happen in your life has to come from above. It has to be a blessing. It has to be something that was granted for you or towards you to help make your life better, because nothing happens by accident. But the inverse of that would be this. Any and all bad things that have happened to you, or any and all bad things in your life, were placed to show you where you're fucking up and what not to do. Think about that for a second. Where you're fucking up and what not to do. You see, sometimes what God has to do is God probably has to teach you a lesson to get you to where you need to be. And sometimes if you refuse those lessons, what will happen is you'll spend a year or 2 or 5 years or 10 years, and the lesson that he tried to teach you at 22, you didn't listen to until you were 47. Okay, and then you're trying to make up for missing out. And now you have a lot of bad mistakes that you feel as if are not recoverable because you're older. We don't have unlimited time, we have limited time. So we need to make sure that the lessons that were placed in front of us we're listening to. So your emotion or lack of emotional control will only result in emasculation, making you weak to the flesh, weak to lust, and weak to the feminine. And this is a man that she doesn't want. She maybe will want him in the short term, and a lot of you have to understand this. A lot of you get very bitter because you say, in the short term, she'll still hook up with this guy. Well, here's what you have to understand. It takes 2 to tango, and what you have to understand is this. In order to even hook up or sleep with a guy in the first place, what oftentimes has to happen is that man has to be willing to be led by his pleasures in the first place. So let's say, the quote that a lot of guys like to throw out on the internet is, a guy with high SMV or an alpha, right? Or a guy who has high sexual market value with women, a sexual, high status, almost alpha, right? Think of that guy that women want. That man is going to have to play by the rules too, because if that guy goes weak for a woman, what's going to happen is that she's going to pull away from him too. But even that man, what you have to understand is every time he indulges in his pleasures, even if he is on paper textbook attractive, the problem is he is still going to feel the same thoughts, feelings, and emotions as you. And he runs the same race, or he ends up running into the same circumstances where, guess what? She could pull away from him too, or he could feel all of those thoughts, feelings, and emotions that leave him emasculated too. That's why I'm trying to tell you, everybody, and I mean everybody, has to play by the rules and understand the game. It doesn't matter who you are, you will run into the same exact circumstances. So, your emotion or lack of emotional control will only result in emasculation, making you weak to the flesh, weak to lust, okay, and weak to the feminine. So when that happens, this is now a man that is easily manipulated. You're easily manipulated by women, you're easily manipulated by your circumstances because you're chasing pleasure. So I'm trying to tell you this because a lot of men are jealous, or you're bitter, or you wish you were someone else, or you wish you were taller, or you wish you made more money, whatever the case may be. The good news for you is these rules, if you want to call it that, or these circumstances applies to every single man. So there's no victim mentality here saying, oh, why me? The whole why me mentality. It doesn't exist. We have seen millionaires get cheated on. We've seen celebrities get dumped. We've seen guys with high sexual market value have women pull away from them. It doesn't matter who you are going to run into the same exact circumstances because you are human just like me. And it doesn't matter if you are a famous Hollywood musician or actor. It doesn't matter if you're a pro football player. It doesn't matter. This is what you're going to run into. Internal high value, personality congruence, seeing if she can move the man off center. The rules apply to everybody. So when you stop chasing, she starts to actually see you in a new light. Think about that for a second. She starts to see you in a new light because you are now in your own path and your own lane. You're now different. She's going to see that you don't care what others think. You're fine and content and safe in your own world with or without her. And guess what? You need to become a man before you receive the type of feminine woman that you're wanting. So say this with me one more time to conclude this. You need to become a man before you receive the type of feminine woman that you're wanting. So all of you wanting this feminine woman, okay, you are not going to be able to use purely just game to obtain that. It doesn't matter how high your SMV, your sexual market value is, the rules apply to everybody, which means a man is made from the inside. You need to fortify and strengthen your inside. And the best way that you can do that is having a real relationship with the path and purpose that you're put on this earth for and called to do. That is how you get squared up in your own lane and you can actually start to win and have a fulfilling life. And only when this dynamic occurs do you start to have fulfillment. So this is what I'm telling you. You stop caring and she starts chasing because God needs you in that pure, divine, masculine spirit. It's the only thing that's going to actually help get you out of the circumstance that you're probably in. And this is why I created this brotherhood. This is why I created this community. Because we as men, we do not get the leverage back in our own dating life until number one, we come together. Number two, we stop making these bad mistakes that we keep making. And number three, as men, we see this for what it is. And we understand that we're trying to oftentimes play a game that we can't win. If you like this video, I want you to hit the like button, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.